Good evening, everyone, and good health and happy Thanksgiving. This is the student representative part of the meeting. And first in the lineup is Springfield Central High School, and they're supported by Mr. Central himself, Principal Tad Tokars. Chief William Buttman is here, and Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Mackenzie Ridden. The floor is yours. And thank you, Focus Springfield and Brendan, for televising this. Principal Tokars, or?
Yes, Mackenzie, are you on? Mackenzie?
Yes, sir.
There she is.
There she is, looking
Oh.
sharp, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
You gotta unmute Mackenzie.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can hear you a little bit, yeah. Hi, Chief,
Awesome.
too.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Mackenzie Ridden, also known as Cadet Lieutenant Colonel at Central High School's ROTC program. Central has been working hard to get back to some sense of normalcy. Academically, we have continued to improve, and we just had almost 350 of our juniors take the MCAS testing. Co-curricularly, Central is also working on getting our students involved in school-based activities. One of these school-based activities would happen to be AFJ ROTC. Within the past few months, our ROTC program has started off in a great leap of events. For example, we have recently had our top 7, which I am a part of, and our color guard march in the Veterans Day Parade this past Thursday. Our representation of the Air Force had brought great joy to those who attended. Not only that, but at our local Texas Roadhouse, we have spearheaded an event for the veterans the same day to continue honoring them. Another event we have just finished is our canned food drive to help those in need who don't have food or resources for Thanksgiving. And I am pleased to announce that we have collected over 800 canned and boxed items. Though this couldn't have been done without the help of our instructors as well as our upper class cadets. All of our senior cadets have their own flights that consist of underclassmen cadets, also known as AS4s. The senior cadets help teach and guide the underclassmen through our program alongside the instructors. Some of the things we teach them is how to march, do drill, wear our uniform properly and correctly, as well as proudly. The uniform I am presenting to you today. Lastly, our drill teams, our armed and unarmed teams have been working hard for their competition that is coming up soon, which will actually take place in New York. After a long year of this pandemic, they are certainly looking forward to competing in person. Moving on to other events, Central's drama program has just performed Hamlet, and they are excited to once again compete in the Berkshires at the annual Shakespeare Festival. We have recently had them perform at our school during the last week, I believe, and it turned out to be a great success. Other things that we have is our athletics teams, which are very successful during this fall season, and our football team is playing in the Division I state semifinals on Saturday. First quarter report cards just came out, and many of our cadets were promoted because of their outstanding grades within our program. Personally, I am looking forward to graduation and hope that we can have it at Symphony Hall this year, as we haven't been in school for the past year and are trying to just get back to that flow of being in person. I am planning on going to college for veterinary medicine and am applying to Cornell University, UMass Boston, UMass Lowell, and Niagara University. Being in person has definitely been a big step, especially after being online for so long and having to deal with such a painful and challenging pandemic. But I am happy to be here, and I am happy to represent my school and my program within this meeting. Thank you.
Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Mackenzie Ridden, you represented very, very well and continued success. Fantastic, fantastic.
And we've already booked Symphony Hall for you,
How's that?
for your graduation.
Roger L. Putnam Vocational Technical Academy is in the house and supported by their great principal, George Johnson, and Vera Denico, assistant principal. Sine, I think that's right, pronounce it wrong, please correct me. Sine Barnett and Jaden Webb. You're up. Principal Johnson, or I don't know if the assistant principal, Denico, would like to open up?
Yeah, I'm very excited to introduce Jaden. I don't see Sinye on tonight, so Jaden is going to take her part as well, but I'm extremely excited. They're going to talk a little bit about the business tech program. And these are two seniors that I've worked with for the past 4 years, and I'm very proud of both of them.
Thank you. Jaden, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaden Webb. I'm a student at Putnam, and I am also a student in the business shop. As a vocational institution, Putnam and the business tech shop are committed to supporting our local community. The shop has been dedicated to building and promoting volunteerism. As a school, we have a team of Putnam SAVE leaders. SAVE stands for Students Against Violence Everywhere. Those students volunteer with local programs to help change our community. Our commitment is also highlighted via the National Start with a Hello virtual pep rally. This program introduced Putnam to activities such as the Sandy Hook, such as
You're
the
doing fine, Jaden. You're doing fine.
business tech shop. The business tech shop has that program by creating a Microsoft Teams group along with a special Sandy Hook PowerPoint. School leaders have shared those presentations with the entire school. The goal of this program was to encourage empathetic and empowering behaviors to help students curb social isolation that could result in undesired results. We have also participated in the virtual Show Up Student Leadership Conference at Springfield College. This program helped promote kindness and selfless service to others while also recognizing and appreciating the people in our lives that show up. Students involved in this program wrote an essay about how the presentation helped them and what they learned. The business tech shop is now working with ambassadors of the Be a Friend project, which is a nationwide anti-bullying project. We'll be submitting monthly letters of support, posters, and cards to one student who has been a victim of bullying. Our goal is to encourage students to show up for others who are struggling. Helping students learn that they can make a difference empowers them to be kind, empathetic, and work with your schools and local communities. Thanks.
Jaden, very heartfelt. Good job. I know you'll be watching the Patriots tonight too. Am I right? I see
Yes,
that
I will.
behind you there. Okay.
Yes.
Good job, Jaden. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you. High School of Science and Technologies in the house, supported by hardworking Principal Kevin Lalim and same with Assistant Principal Timothy Malone. Angel Colazo, Esteban Guzman are in the house. So I'll turn it over to whether Principal Lalim or Assistant Principal Malone, if they'd like to open up first, please.
Mayor, I'm sorry to interject. Sinye actually came from Putnam. I think she came in a little bit late. She had something to say as well, if that's still okay.
Oh, is she here?
Yeah, she's here. She
Oh,
came
okay.
in during Jaden. Is that okay? I'm
No,
so
no,
sorry. to
okay.
interrupt.
So listen. High school science and technology. Hold on for 1 second, because we're putting our hands together for Sine Barnett. Sine, you're up.
Hello, how are
How
you?
you doing?
I'm
Good. How are
good.
you?
I'm great. So, for the last 3 years, business technology has also been diligently helping to support the Rock 102, sorry, Mayflower Marathon to reach their goals, filling up tractor trailer trucks to bring it to the open pantry. Each year, BIM students go to the site and unload cars, scan food, and help to load the trailers. In our school committee, we partner with our shops to give presentations about the importance of volunteering and donating. So each year we have been able to fill up 2 Putnam vans with food to donate to this great cause. Usually this is around the holidays, and especially with COVID, it's a great time to do it and give out a reaching hand, a helping hand. So another thing that we do is that we work with the subs team collecting new clothes for the Friends of the Homeless project. This initiative is aimed to aid the health population of the city during colder months. So to help ease the donation process of buying new items, we made a Amazon registry that allows donors to shop with convenience and choose items they would like to donate. So it's easier, so they can add it, and it's just right there. So our shop also have been privileged to partner with JA, which is the Junior Achievement of Western Mass. Due to COVID restrictions, JA has been especially helpful in bringing business professionals to our school via Zoom meetings. In our shop, we've paired with Citizens Bank and Bank of America that volunteered to teach us the importance of opening up a bank account, budgeting, credit cards, and credit rating. Also, Belize Auto has agreed to teach us on an All About Cars program that introduces us about the essential costs related to buying and operating our first car. The relationship that business technology and JA has is also it's very important and it's very special, and we cherish it because they're able to connect us with the community, business professionals, and currently the industry knowledge which we have is now due to them, and it helped us out a lot. Thank you.
Sine, we're glad you made it, and nice nails too. Nice nails. Let me
Thank
see those
you.
nails there. Okay,
Birthday
dear. Very
nails.
good.
Thank you.
Nice job. We're glad that you made it. Thank you and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you,
Okay.
you too.
Thank you, dear. High school science and tech, you're back up again. So Principal Kevin Lalim or Assistant Principal Timothy Malone, Angel Colazo, I'm sorry, Esteban Guzman. Please.
Alrighty, I don't see my principal or assistant principal, so I'm gonna just, take the initiative and go.
You're winging it. I like it. I like it.
Absolutely. Alrighty, my name is Angel Colasso.
All right, Angel.
Senior over at SciTech. Good evening, everyone, first of all. And today I'm gonna be focusing on a specific program that I'm very excited about because I'm part of the program. So everything that I'm about to say is focused on the program. As some of my peers over at Putnam might know, vocational education has really leveled the playing field. In a time where a college degree is simply not enough, vocational education provides the opportunity for scholars to obtain real work experience in the field they'd like to dedicate their lives to. Now, the After Dark program is essentially this program where currently SciTech kids are able to go to Putnam after school and work on these shops that they provide. And then we're getting vocational experience working on those shops. So the After Dark program has extended this opportunity to students who do not attend a vocational high school. Students like myself, these scholars go to regular school day in the morning with special modified schedules where they are provided time in their day for independent studies. After 2:20, we cross the street to Putnam, where scholars begin to work in their health assistant, automotive technology, IT support, and networking services, and metal fabrication. Their day ends around 5:30, and some do not make it home until later. So some students, like myself, are planning to go into the medical field, hoping to become a psychiatrist. And so the health assisting program, and although I won't just be a CNA for the rest of my life. This is going to give me experience with patients, and I'm going to have an understanding of how a hospital works, and I'll know some of the ins and outs. And this experience is really going to help me in the long run. Once I go into college, I'm going to have experience, and I'm going to know some things that some of my peers might not know. So I'm really appreciative of this opportunity. I hope this same opportunity can be provided to more high school students, as it has proven to be one of the best and most rewarding decisions I have ever made. So thank you so much for the opportunity. I hope the After Dark program can spread to other high schools. That's my wish. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity once again.
Dr. Colazzo, I love your energy. I love your energy, kid, young
Thank
man.
you.
Way to go, doctor. Okay. Is Esteban Guzman in the house? Okay, Esteban.
First of all, I'd like to apologize for not only the name error on my Zoom tag, but camera thing. It's just been a long day, and I got.
Okay. We're glad to have you, Esteban. We're glad
Thank
to
you.
have you.
And what I was planning on saying is very similar to Angels, as I too am a part of the After Dark program, and I agree fully with what he's saying. I hope it spreads to further schools, and I love it as he's presented. You could get certifications in this program to boost you further in college, giving more knowledgeable credits in college. So again, so you can help your peers, if anything, and expand your knowledge even easier and quicker, as this program gives you a lot at the cost of only 3 hours of extra time of your day.
Very good. You and Angel did a great job. Great job. Thank you, Esteban. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, last but not least, Springfield Renaissance Schools in the house, supported by their principal, Aria Colburn, and Daniel Pear is the assistant principal, Jaden Aponte. So I don't know if Principal Colburn or Assistant Principal Pear would like to open up first, and then we're going to hear from Jaden.
I apologize. This is Dan Pear from Renaissance. I apologize if I can't elaborate too much. We're very proud to have Jaden up here with us tonight. Right now, our school is doing a Power Puff football game at Central High School. So I'm a little bit distracted, but we hope everybody's going to have a great, healthy holiday season.
Okay, thank you. You see Jaden?
Bring him on.
Bring.
I'm all set to go.
Yep.
Hey, Jaden, what's up?
Hello. Hello. My name is Jaden Aponte, as it says right there, and I'm currently in my senior year at the Springfield Renaissance School. Coming back from Renaissance after being in remote for about 180 days, and 80 plus, sorry, is really new and refreshing, because I'm able to see the progress and change within all the peers that I've previously met, and how they themselves indulge themselves into their own lives and improve from the work they went. And I'm very proud of them. Coming back, as the school year comes to our semi-annual intensives, students and teachers are able to bond and blueprint what they have in store for us this upcoming December and then June. Intensives are, I'm super sorry. Intensives are 2 courses that happen at the before winter break and then before summer vacation, in which is a breakaway from our current curriculum. Intensives are a 3-day period in which teachers curate their very own interests into activities, and activities in which students are allowed to sign up and participate in. These intensives that our school provide allows our individual students and the teachers to not only bond with one another at a deeper connection, but we're also able to help back with the community. For example, one of the intensives at Renaissance that we like to portray is our open pantry intensives, in which we usually gather a group of students who sign up for the intensives, and then we go to open pantries, and then we start donating and helping organize foods for the community. So before, in the past, I was a member in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade of the open pantry, with our previous students and teachers, we went back and forth place to place throughout Springfield, making sure all the open pantries were not only organized, full of food that isn't expired, and we made sure we helped out with all the workers there who were very glad to have us there and helping. Currently, where Daniel Pear is, Mr. Pear, he's at our Powerpuff game, which is home to all of our proud, very sporty girls out there. Sorry, one moment.
You're doing fine, Jaden.
Thank you so much. And one of the good things about intensives in our school is it's not limited just to open pantry, but you're open to a bunch of life experiences. From learning how to hike, learning how to scuba dive, even if it's your first time swimming, you're able to learn it at Renaissance based off the intensives we provide for us. Because it's not only just teacher oriented, it's also student oriented because they're allowed to put their input and allow us to have a little more fun in our school year while learning all the most. As of recently, our school also celebrated our John and Abigail students who achieved very advanced and high scores onto the MCAS, and we're very proud of them. And that is all so far.
Thank you, Jaden, very much. Happy Thanksgiving. That concludes our student representatives meeting. We will be going into a live and executive session, then we'll open up the formal meeting at 7 p.m. and you're more than welcome to come back or stay on, but thank you for the presentation. Good health, God bless, and happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Present.
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 Here.
Present. Is there a motion on the floor, please, for executive session?
I would move that we go into executive session to discuss strategy related to Springfield Association of School Custodial Employees, collective bargaining, because open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the position of the school committee. Further, to discuss the strategy related to the nurses UFCS collective bargaining, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect upon the bargaining position of the school committee. And additionally, discuss strategy related to paraprofessionals, Springfield Federation of Paraprofessionals, AFT, collective bargaining, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. And lastly, to discuss strategy related to the tradesmen, SPBTA, collective bargaining, because of open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school committee. The school committee will reconvene in open session.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient votes. Matter passes. We'll see you at 7 or a little after for the official meeting. Thank you. Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Our apologies. We just got out of executive session. Good health to everyone and happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Yes. Present.
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 Here.
Present, and I know our student rep Nathaniel Claudio from Putnam Vocational Technical Academy is usually with us too. I'd like to hold a moment of silence for an employee that we just lost, Gail Ball from our library department, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Okay, we will now go into voting items. A is to approve the Springfield Association of School Custodians Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's on the other page here. Approval of the minutes. I apologize. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there motion? Motion by Vice Chair Collins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Perez. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. My apologies again, was on a different sheet here. Voting items. Again, to approve the Springfield Association of School Custodian Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement for July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, this is a four-year pact, so we have to vote twice, the first year and then the subsequent 3 years. We discussed this in executive session, and I recommend approval.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham, is there a second?
Second.
A second by all. There was a tie there. Let me give Ms. Perez. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient votes, this matter passes. Thank you. B now is to approve the Springfield Association of School Custodial Employees Collective Bargaining Agreement. Now, this is for July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024. Superintendent Warwick,
This
please.
is the second 3 years and the second agreement. Recommend approval.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins, or second, please?
Second.
Jeez, okay, a second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you very much. C is to approve the City of Springfield High School diploma for Isaiah Malachi Ortiz Clark. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Yeah, there's a piece in your packet on this. Isaiah has completed, worked in an out-of-district placement in a private day school. He completed all of the coursework and the CD requirements, so he qualifies for a City of Springfield High School diploma. Recommend approval.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Collins. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient amount of votes. Congratulations, Isaiah Malachi, old school name, Ortiz Clark on that. D is to approve the decommission of Eastern Avenue School and transfer of ownership to the city. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, when we have finished using a school building, we decommission and return the building to the city. Eastern Avenue went online in 1898, so I think we got our money's worth out of it as a school building, but it probably could have very substantial uses. So we'll decommission, return it to the city, and the city can advertise for development. So I recommend approval. It's been through our Building and Maintenance Committee, and I got the subcommittee approval. I don't know if
Vice Chair Collins.
Vice Chair Collins wants to say something about that.
I think it was a no-brainer. We don't want to keep.
Yeah, I know
a
you don't.
building that we're not going to
Yeah.
use.
It's my headache now. Okay,
Yeah.
but we'll do something with it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I do, Mr. Mayor. So those students went to, where did they go?
The students that were at Eastern
They've already
Avenue
moved.
went over to Lincoln School, which were,
Could read them.
we moved the students to the new Lincoln School. It was a much better building in a lot better shape.
Yeah.
And we combined that in Springfield Middle School on the Lincoln School campus. And we put $1 million into that campus this summer to upgrade it. But it's a lot better building. The Eastern Avenue building, was built in 1898. We were having trouble with the parapets. We were having trouble structurally with it. So Lincoln is a really significant improvement building wise. It allows us to put those two programs together, which is more cost effective. And again, we put some money into the facility, so it's in really good shape.
All right.
So the kids are way better off in that new
Yeah.
program.
That's a good question, Ms. Gresh, so
Yeah,
people know.
we
that
put $1
kids-
million in this
They've
summer.
already been
upgrading
moved to a
it.
better
Yeah.
facility.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, get a motion on the floor.
So
Motion by Vice Chair Collins, or second, please.
A second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 yes. Yes.
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. What we're going to do now is going to put E aside. Retired Representative Ben Swan is on his way. His brother Fred was here, and we'll put that to the side and get to it when the retired rep is here. So we'll go to F. This is to approve the naming of Duggan Academy Auditorium in honor of Eleanor Barker and her husband, Bill William Barker. Superintendent Warwick?
Eleanor served at Duggan for years. The principal of Duggan Academy came down recommending this for her and her husband. She had been an institution at the school, most recently in the parent engagement piece. And again, Principal Calvanese is here. He came down and spoke to it. So I'd like to recognize Principal Calvanese and get his input on this.
Michael, Principal Calvanese, please.
Yes, I thank you, Mayor Sarno, Superintendent Warwick, and school committee members. I appreciate it. 3 years ago, the school department invested in the updating the Duggan Academy auditorium and stage area. We are pleased and honored to request that the school committee name this student, family, and community space in the honor of Ms. Eleanor M. Barker and her husband, William. Ms. Barker, just to say a few words about her, was born in New York City and raised in Suffield, Connecticut. Today, Ms. Barker is an activist, community organizer, mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother. And in her early years, she had a great deal of support in Hartford, Connecticut, and spearheaded and ran a Title 20 federally funded program, which provided youth in the city an opportunity to learn and explore a world outside the city, camping, beach trips, state day trips, ice skating, libraries, parks, and museums, to name a few areas of opportunities for kids. She ensured that children learned about a variety of diverse cultures and different experiences. In 1985, Springfield Public Schools was fortunate to have Ms. Barker continue her career in her life experience and to drive the work forward with students, families, and community members. Ms. Barker began her 34-year career in Springfield as a teacher aide, as a parent facilitator, and most of those 34 years were at Duggan Academy. She established a Black History program, the Taste of Duggan, which is an annual flea market and community health event at the school. She also developed the first Duggan Middle Drill Team. Eleanor brought countless community agencies and programs to the fair and to the school, and she put countless hours at all events. In 1996, Dr. Peter Negroni, at the time, the superintendent, awarded Eleanor with the city's first Spirit Team Award. Dr. Negroni was quoted saying at the time, quote, "Duggan Middle School is truly blessed to have Ms. Barker." She was awarded in 2002 the School of Career Stairway to Success for her outstanding participation in community service learning. Excuse me. And on a personal note, I've known Ms. Barker since 2014, and it's been a great pleasure for me to know her and learn from her. And her passion and energy is truly inspiring for myself, and I know for many of the past principals that have worked with her. It's been a great pleasure to know her, and we've been blessed to have her in our buildings. And it's with that I humbly ask the school committee to vote in affirmation of the Duggan Academy Family Center in the name of Ms. Eleanor Barker and her husband, William. And we found it fitting to name it with him since he has been side by side with her on her journey, supporting the school community. I'd like to thank the school committee School Committee and ask if Mary Kay Brown would like to say a few words quickly and answer any questions that the school committee may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Principal Cavanies. Ms. Brown?
Sure. Here I am. Thank you. Yeah, I can't think of better cheerleaders for Springfield Public Schools than Eleanor and Bill Barker. I think it's fitting that we honor their contributions with a space that has held so many family and community celebrations. We can't even begin to count the number of people she's brought into our building and to support the students and the families of John J. Duggan Academy. I think it's a fitting honor for her contribution, and we thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Any questions or comments?
This has also gone through Building and Maintenance Subcommittee. I don't know if.
Vice Chair Collins?
Well, besides the testimony that we just heard, the package that was presented had letters extolling the wonderfulness of these people, from parents, from former principals, from community members. It was extensive, the love that seems to be out there. And we did a survey like where we're at, and it was just off the charts that everybody thought we should do this, so.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Any other questions or comments?
I just want to make a comment
Yes, Ms. Naylor?
that to know Ms. Barker is to love her. And that is really the sum of her. She's just a beautiful person, and her love for kids and our families and our community is just radiant. So I love that this is happening, and I'm so hopeful that it goes through with flying colors.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Any questions or comments? I'd have to say, we did this auditorium in part, Pat Sullivan, the sheriff's, Nicole, I remember, did a great job on that. And I have to say about Eleanor, Mrs. Barker, and Bill, Mr. Barker, really two peas in a pod. I've been in Duggan many, many times. Heart and soul of school, students, families, community, you name it, always going above and beyond. And just always made, especially the young people, believe in themselves. She had that motherly aspect about her, and Bill too, the fatherly aspect, and that tough love at times. But just the analogy is, when you think about Duggan, you think about those two, and this is very appropriate to name the auditorium after Mr. and Mrs. Barker, Eleanor and Bill. So this is a good vote. Thank you, Principal Calvanese and Vice Principal Ms. Brown on that also too. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved, Mayor.
Motion by Vice Chair Collins, or second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Naylor. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Congratulations to Eleanor Barker and Bill Barker. Well deserved. We're
Thank you.
going to, thank you, Principal Calvanese. We're going to hold E with Rep. Swan. We'll go to informational items, and the A would be a Sedesco annual update. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have Roger Weger here from Sedexo that's ready to present Sedexo's annual update. Obviously, there's been some questions about the food program recently because we're still serving in the classroom. So I thought it was an appropriate time for this presentation.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it over to Roger.
Okay. We're gonna check.
He's going to check.
Oh,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick, Mayor Sarno, Vice Chairman Collins, and school committee members. It's a pleasure to present to you this evening the Homegrown Springsfield school year 2021 annual report. My name is Roger Weger, and I am the Homegrown Springfield District Manager. I think we all can agree that it's been a challenging year. However, I think we all also look forward to the opportunity to be able to have our students return to the cafeteria where they could enjoy a wide variety of meal options and side dishes with their friends and socialize. I think that we have, we are still in the COVID model, but I'm looking forward to the future. I think the meal options in terms of salad bars and colorful fruits and vegetables are incredibly important, and hopefully at some point we can get to that. I'd like to make a thank you to basically the Springfield School District, in particular Pat Roach and Tim Gray, and the entire SPS staff that work here at the Culinary Nutrition Center. This effort definitely takes a team, and with their support and our homegrown Springfield team members and their dedication and determination to feeding our students and serving our community during the pandemic. Together, we are Springfield. Our team of over 300 team members live here, work here, and their children go to Springfield Public Schools. Our mission is simple. It really is to eliminate student hunger, improve the quality and sustainability of the products that we serve in the schools, and to provide child nutritional programs in our schools and community at large. Our goals are clear and they're well defined. Very simply, improve food quality, increase student participation, and increase student learning opportunities. A huge accomplishment this year, the CNC was built to fulfill a vision, and that vision, I'm pleased to say, has been fulfilled to create a program to provide breakfast in the classroom to every Springfield student. Homegrown Springfield completed the transition from purchasing pre-made, pre-packaged breakfast and classroom products to procuring ingredients for 100% CNC produced meals. And as you can see on the chart, we have a full menu complement, again, of CNC produced meals being served at breakfast in the classroom program. Another area that we want to touch on is purchasing locally. We have previously mentioned it as an important guidepost in what we do. And in 2020 and 2021 school year, we spent 19% of our food costs on foods made here and grown in New England. And you can see on the left some of our partners who we purchase products from and ingredients. And by investing in higher quality products, our meals are better for Springfield students, the local economy, and the environment. When we have more robust participation rates in our meal program, we can buy these higher quality local items and local ingredients. In increasing student meal participation, ensures students eat healthier school meals and helps draw down on USDA federal nutrition dollars, and those dollars are then invested into our local food system, creating more jobs and helping the local economy. Another first this past year was the area of sustainability. While focusing on locally sustainable solutions to waste management, we're making mindful choices about our food packaging and facilities' impact on our community. Vanguard Renewables, who we established a contract with this past year, takes our food waste and processes it to create renewable gas energy and renewable electricity in the local area, as well as chemical-free fertilizer. This fertilizer is then utilized by a farmer, for example, Joe Sikowski, pictured here below, to grow produce in terms of corn and sweet potatoes and other things on his farm. The corn that he grows then goes to Mi Tierra, another local Springfield company located directly across the street from Central High School. And from there, we purchase it from Mi Tierra and produce the meals for the students. So it is essentially a closed loop in terms of achieving a better sustainable footprint in the community. Another area that is a strategy that was primarily developed out of necessity from the pandemic was our social media platform. In the 2021 school year, we had social media posts that reached over 202,000 different people. And due to the pandemic, we adopted these communication strategies to reach out to many students and families as possible. And we started with passing out flyers and waving signs on the side of the road to create Homegrown Springfield district supported social media page. We continue to use these tools as we can grow and continue to communicate with the Springfield community about our programs. The annual Future Chef competition this past year had been canceled as a result of COVID. That didn't stop our local team from creating another competition, totally virtual, called Stir It Up Springfield, as a way to connect with students to enjoy a more normal school year experience. Springfield Public School students were invited to submit recipes for a virtual recipe contest and competition. Student finalists met virtually with our CNC chefs to ask questions and perfect their recipes. Finalists submitted short videos while preparing cooking and plating ingredients. A panel of judges then sampled each of the finalists' recipes. Judges scored based on taste, originality, ease, preparation, healthy attributes, and kid-friendliness. Homegrown Springfield released a video series of the entire competition. The winning recipe was featured on our food truck during our seasonal event and was created by Catherine from the Zanetti School. A brief look at our financial performance during the 2021 school year. Revenues were over $21 million. Our cost of operations slightly over $18 million. It takes into account things such as food, labor, packaging, and supplies, which left a reinvestment of $3,400,000 that goes into new equipment as well as purchasing higher quality products and ingredients from our local sources. I think this slide is pretty telling in that if you look to the far left in March of 2020 and that fateful day when the world shut down on Friday, March 13th, by Monday, March 16th, the Sodexo team was up and answering the bell to provide meals to students in the community. And as you can see, during the months of October through December, we at some point were dealing almost 750,000 meals per month. As you can see in January, as people began to go out and to try to restore to a more normal activities, the need did drop, but the need still remains. So when all is said and done, during the March 16th through August 27th timeframe, over 9.7 meals were distributed to Springfield students throughout the city. We also tested 60 new recipes at 92 event taste tests and got students feedback about the meals. And again, valuable feedback about the new recipes that we were testing as far as acceptability. Some of the amazing things that the team did together serving our students and fueling our community, the 18 emergency meal distribution sites, partnering with Oasis Pantry. They were a tremendous partner with us at both Central High School and when we moved locations to Eastfield Mall by offering fresh fruits, vegetables, meat, and other pantry items. We held seasonal events out throughout the community, winter carnival, fall festival, summer barbecues, to engage with students and parents and to gain their feedback about our program. And of course, we supported the summer school and hybrid learning models this past year. And I think because of the challenges of some of our folks getting to our distribution sites, we had mobile trucks traveling throughout the city to provide meals in the community centers and apartment complexes around the city of Springfield. As the school year 2020 was ending, we believed in September that we'd be preparing for returning to the normal and traditional cafeteria model. Preparation and transition from the grab-and-go service model to the full in-person learning model and BIC and traditional lunch service was on our radar. Our menu development, as I had mentioned, had 60 new recipes added into our already plentiful recipe book of student favorites, and provided innovative scratch-made recipes served alongside, again, our students' classic favorites. Just before the start of the school year, for safety of all Springfield Public School students, emergency COVID plan required a service model change from our cafeteria to classroom feeding. On the next chart here, you can see we realized that the student mealtime experience, quite honestly, isn't there. Lunchtime had previously offered freedom of choice and been pretty much a takeaway for providing lots of student options. And as you can see on the left, a student going through the cafeteria line in school year 2019-2020 had a full complement of meal choices. Dialing that back to lunch in the classroom, we have unitized meals. And again, it's quite honestly not the same experience for the students. And by the way, we're not immune to the global supply shortages and transportation delays, even in inclement weather, that has really contributed to the limited availability of poultry staples and pantry items that we need to produce our meals. And again, as we're producing huge numbers of meals, oftentimes our deliveries arrive at the back door and they're not the full complement that we had ordered. Food quality and presentation, students have experienced the COVID impact on quality and presentation during this period. Cafeteria service in school year 2019-2020 allowed to offer a broader range of healthy, delicious, and fresh menu choices. So no matter how good the food is, how local and fresh the ingredients are, the meal experience simply isn't there in the current classroom service model. Believe me, when I say we have heard the feedback loud and clear, we've seen the pictures, we've read the posts on social media, we have spoken to students and parents, we understand their concerns and are making changes. We first and foremost strive for transparent communications. Our concerns are to be open and transparent with those with whom we deal, and we are listening together as a community to ensure that Springfield students' nutritional food safety needs are met. Additional training, we continue to provide training and development for our on-site kitchen in the schools that's needed throughout the year, as well as these were the same meals that we had served during the emergency meal distribution program that we received oftentimes rave reviews for. They're not being able to stand up to the same standards in terms of the retherming and heating and holding and delivering to the classroom. We are working to simplify the menu, and as you see on the left, the you spoke and we are listening, Moroccan meatballs with couscous, carrots, and chickpeas is no longer on the menu. Believe me, Homegrown Springfield looks to the future after COVID-19, and it's imperative that every aspect of our nutritional experience be evaluated with an eye growing toward improving food quality and increasing student participation. We've also heard students say that some of the feedback we've received, and we have a team in Central High School as well to listen to students' reactions to our breakfast and lunch. We also post daily on social media and my D-Text the meal that we're serving on that day, so students can see what the meal is and how it's supposed to look. We've heard feedback. The students had wanted to see nacho meals, and we turned around very quickly and started producing nacho meals for the schools. We had comments about the blueberry, yogurt, and granola breakfast, where they were in 3 separate compartments. And the students said, we'd like the blueberries and yogurt blended together and keep the granola off to the side so that it stays fresh and crunchy. And we've made those changes. Since September, we've been speaking with students directly again at breakfast and lunch. And believe me, their comments are open, they're direct, and they're honest. And we're grateful for that feedback to make the changes. However, looking to the future, I think the future does remain bright. We have and are introducing all new Homegrown branded signage to refresh in the school cafeteria spaces throughout the entire city. We're also purchasing a piece of equipment that will allow us to make from scratch handmade empanadas and hot pocket sandwiches with both breakfast and lunch fillings. The machine is due in the end of December, beginning of January, and we're very excited about this new handheld option, so students can eat it without needing a necessity of a fork and a knife. And I think it'll be very well received by the students. For initial tests have been very encouraging. Also, we're recognizing and developing our food talent within the community. And again, we focus on hiring locally and developing and training our staff for promotion within the Culinary Nutrition Center. The Tiger team was essentially the group that I had mentioned on the previous slide that is out in the schools and talking directly with the students to gain their feedback and understanding of what their likes and dislikes are. What we see is a need to perhaps go to a more student favorite menu, a 3-week cycle menu of the top student requested meals, and to hold back on the other many recipes that we develop until we can return to a cafeteria setting. We're also looking at piloting a new program in the future called room service. And this would allow students to have a daily menu of menu options that they could choose from. And that order would be transmitted down to the kitchen, and the bags would be prepared with each student's specifically requested breakfast item. And we're very, very excited about this potentially new breakfast ordering system. Again, a lot of it is driven by automation and the Heartland software that we use to find new efficiencies, and the CNC test kitchen being again open to the community. We hope to have that because we really feel our value to the community is being able to have folks come here and learn cooking techniques and learn other programs and nutritional programs, whether it be students, parents, or other community groups. We're also taste testing new menu items to present to students in the schools and get their direct and immediate feedback. And our goal for the future is to increase from 19 to 22% local purchasing. I'll also say that the Community Board of Advisors, we hope to re-engage here in the community because their importance in the role that we play and direction and guidance will help us as well in the future. And then lastly, I'd like to mention that we have pretty much the first in the country, another Springfield first, a quarterly Senior Advisory Council meeting. And this is made up of the CEO of Sodexo Schools and several senior vice presidents that come here to Springfield quarterly to meet with the Springfield team and offer assistance and commitment of support to us and our efforts. And this team is very, very important to us because it helps us drive to be the best K through 12 program in the country. And lastly, I want to close with this picture. This is the new vibrant truck design for our delivery trucks that travel and bring meals to the schools throughout Springfield. This was a collaboration, total collaboration between Springfield Public Schools and Sodexo, with pictures of 3 Springfield students standing in front of the truck represented on that truck. The contact information is also provided so we can talk and exchange ideas and provide the best K through 12 meal service for our students. And I'd like to thank the board for their continued support of the culinary and nutrition program here in Springfield. Thank you very much.
Mr. Weaker, I know that school committee members might have some questions. Thank you for the presentation, and I'll open it up to questions or comments from school committee members. Ms.
Yes,
Taylor?
So I have a few questions. The first question is, with the advisory board, I know that we had an advisory board in the past, and have those resumed yet? And if not, when do you foresee that they will?
They have not resumed yet. And we are working to try to bring that back because it is a valuable resource to us in terms of a listening post. I don't have a specific date at this time, but please be mindful we still are in COVID, but we'd like to get this group back together because it has in the past provided tremendous insight and guidance to the program.
Thank you. And definitely recommend, even if they have to be virtual, that a lot of those folks in the community are known for being a part of the board. So they do get a lot of complaints and a lot of suggestions that could be very helpful to us moving forward. Also, I want to ask, what do we do in consideration for folks who have allergies to different foods?
I think you're mute.
Just a second.
Mr. Weaker, Roger. Okay.
Okay.
Yep, you're good
Okay.
now.
Thank you. In terms of allergies, we have a registered dietitian on the staff, and those meals are prepared separately in the culinary nutrition kitchen. And we are always listening in terms of how we can improve that particular service. But we are fortunate in that that dietitian does work with that particular lead chef in the allergen portion of the kitchen to ensure that the utmost safety and is paramount in terms of making sure the student that is requesting that allergen meal is provided it in a manner in which they can consume it and that it's safe and healthy for them.
And I do want to say that the nachos was a big hit because my kids told me the other day they had nachos and we ate them and they were so good. So thank you for listening to the students and to the families. I also wanted to ask if there is a formal process that we could have. And I know that there's not one, but it would be really helpful if we can have a process to be able to submit to you directly any concerns or suggestions. I don't know if there's a Google form or something that we could do that, because I can tell you a lot of the concerns that I've had in recent weeks have been about this. So I would love to be able to field those concerns directly to you rather than waiting for me to field them through the superintendent, which can take some time.
I totally understand. And again, we don't want to bother the superintendent. We're here and we have a phone number and I provided it on the last slide. We love to talk with the individual so we can have a really honest dialogue and nothing is lost in terms of what's being said in an email. So I would just say, please give us a call. We actually prefer to talk on the phone or virtually like this, than email. So we welcome your comments because they help make us better and do good things for the students. So
Thank you. And so I guess my last two questions are directed to the superintendent. Could we have this information on the website so that families do know that they can utilize that as a tool? Because I don't think that they know, and I didn't know, which is why I keep bothering you. And I would rather not bother you when you're very busy with things that can be resolved in a more efficient way.
I think it's a great idea. We'll absolutely get it on the website. I think it's a great suggestion, and it's never a bother because we go through and get the information forward, but we'll get it on the website.
Right, thank you. And then I had one more question. Oh, I know that, and this is one thing that I did share with parents. I had several parent groups that I've had to visit in the last couple of weeks. And one of the things that I did share with them is that we have had limitations because of COVID, right? And that a lot of the processes that we traditionally have done, which Mr. Wager talked about, we're not able to do as effectively because we cannot physically do them because of COVID and some of the parameters that are in place. Do we know when there's going to be a reassessment of when we'll be able to lift some of those strict protocols so that we could have a little bit more leniency to go back to what we were doing before, which we paid a lot of money invested in because we knew it was a good idea. And unfortunately, now we're not benefiting from.
Yeah, we don't know, but we've been working very closely with the health department and Jeannie Clancy to look at when we can go back to the cafeterias. Unfortunately, in the last few weeks in the city and in the school system, the rates are actually rising, not decreasing. And our vax rates still are not where we need them to be. But as soon as we are able, we want to support Roger and get him back in the cafeteria. But right now, the strong recommendation from the health department is not to go back to the cafeterias. And where we had some overflow in some of the buildings in the cafeterias, our COVID rates are high. So we've got to be very careful with that. But we'll keep working with Helen and Jeannie and stay in touch. As soon as they recommend it's safe, we'll go back. And we think we could do a lot to resolve this situation. But right now, it just wouldn't be safe for everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions, comments?
I do, Mr.
Miss
Mayor.
Ms. Gresham?
Thank you for the presentation. So when the food gets to the classroom, do they check the temperature of it, or how is that done?
Temperatures are checked when the food is put into the bag. And then those thermal bags are brought up to the classroom for service. I would think that we probably have some issues in terms of food sitting too long and maybe getting a little soggy, maybe not as hot as it was when it went into the bag. But all the food is cooked and held at the proper temperature before being placed into the bags that go to the classroom.
Have you looked into maybe having cameras? Because they tend to keep food at the temperature.
Yes, and in some schools that's a possibility, and others with stairwells, et cetera, it's a little more difficult with the Cambros, but I will take a look at that.
Okay, that would be good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Roger, very much. We're going to go back to voting items. We're very honored to have a retired state representative, my friend Benjamin Swan. Ben is here, and it's good to see his brother Fred. Thank you very much, Fred, for getting him here personally. This is E to approve the renaming of Homer Street portion of the new Homert Debary School in honor of Ben Swan. And I want to, I'll turn over to Superintendent Warwick. I know went through Buildings Committee with Vice Chair Collins and Barbara Gresham worked very hard on this, but Superintendent Warwick, please.
Yeah, no, thrilled to recommend after the Building and Maintenance Subcommittee that we rename Homer School in honor of Ben Swan, who was an icon in the civil rights movement, both nationally and here in Springfield, and someone we all look up to. And I think the children in that neighborhood would look up to him, and I think it's a great idea. I know it's been through Building and Maintenance and gone through the school committee, so I'd like to let the school committee members speak.
Yes, Vice Chair Collins and then Barbara and the rest of the school committee members. I know I would like to make comments. I know I'd like to make comments. Vice Chair Collins on the process.
We probably had the longest subcommittee meeting I can ever remember. And the heartfelt testimony that we heard from family members, from community members, from the person who followed you in office, was just unbelievable. And it is, and the committee members, all the committee members also could feel the emotion. And that's because it's real, Ben. I mean, there are very few people that we will ever meet in our lifetime that we can truly use the word icon on.
Yes.
Someone who affects not only everybody, but affects you personally inside. And the message that you have always delivered, I tell you now, always resonated and always gave me emotion inside. And as an individual on this committee, but it was overwhelming, the support. And we also did a survey of the community, and that was overwhelming in support. It is nice to see people actually remember and recognize the kind of service and the kind of person that you are. And I couldn't be happier that this is going forward.
Thank you,
And it
Vice Chair.
got a full
Collins.
unanimous vote from the whole committee.
Thank you for the update, Vice Chair Collins. Ms. Gresham?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I must say that Representative Swan has a passion for education. I know many times he came down to Mason Square Head Start preschool program and read to the kids many, many times. And then we would walk up to his office and give him the thank you cards. And I remember on one occasion, there was a parent that had their child with them in the grocery store. And they recognized Representative Swan, and the child said to the mom, "Oh, Mom, he read to our schools." So it makes an impact, a big impact. So we're just so honored to be able to rename Homert after Representative Ben Swan.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Any other questions, comments?
Yes, Mr.
Ms.
Mayor.
Hurst? I'll go to Ms. Hurst and I'll go to Ms. Perez, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'm one of the participants in the subcommittee. And when I saw that room, Ben, it reminds me when we went 40 years ago with Barbara Rivera and Benjamin in the North End. You were not only a particular representative of one site, but you was the representative that we called when we were stuck from the point of the North End. And seeing that room and seeing the people and remembering all that, it kind of recharges all of us. And it was a testament of why we serve as a public to the public. It reminds us all the problems that we had in the North End back then, and you was there on the front line with us. So for me, it's been an honor to be on that committee and seeing that the school, Homert School is a testament to the job that you have done for so many years. I thank you personally.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Ms. Hurst, I'm sorry.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Representative Swan. There are a lot of things that have come before us, or have at least come before me while I've served these last 12 years. And this one for sure is extremely memorable. And Mrs. Gresham is right that you have an impact. And I remember growing up on College Street, right off of State Street, and seeing those green and orange lawn signs that said Ben Swan. And so it's just an honor to be able to sit here and cast a vote to rename a school in your honor, to also be able to look ahead 20 years from now and know that I was a part of that, and that this committee was a part of that. And as I raised 2 young Black boys, to hope that inside that school building and in all of the others across this district, that we will teach them about the work that you have done to allow 4 Black women to sit on this committee. So thank you, because your impact has been profound and great.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Well put. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Naylor?
It's like, what can I say? You know, it was a no-brainer when I got that first letter from Fred. And he said, you know, here's something that we've been thinking about in the community, and what do you think? And I'm like, absolutely. This is a no-brainer. Why would we not want to recognize someone while they are here, while they can see it, while they can feel it, and know the appreciation and value for all the years that you've served, all the decades and all the sacrifice that you've made, not just for yourself, but your family. and putting yourself out there. I've heard stories from people like Mr. Blanton who remind me of what it was like in those days and how you were one of those people who said, no, enough is enough. And so you're the giant that we stand on your shoulders to be where we are and able to teach our kids that there's no barriers and there's no challenges that you can't conquer because of people like you. So thank you for all that you've done. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to be a part of this process.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Any other questions or comments? Attorney Murphy.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Ben, it's great to see you. And I just want to say thank you, for all that you've done for this city. And it is an honor, as Ms. Hurst said, to be able to vote for this school, to name it after you. It's, I think, in some ways long overdue. And, there are a lot of younger folks in Springfield that don't remember the civil rights movement and the busing crisis of the 50s and 60s and early 70s. And, you were at the forefront of that. And those were very difficult times when, obviously Dr. Martin Luther King was murdered, and Malcolm X and John Kennedy and Bobby. And, you were someone who brought a real sense of peace and reconciliation to the city at a time when it could have been a tinderbox. And you showed tremendous grace and acceptance of all of our people. And for that, the city of Springfield is tremendously grateful. And when you were on the steps of City Hall in those days, that should be required learning for all of our students and all of our kids today, because I think many of us, have sort of forgotten that and how difficult that was and how important your role was. And, with the last thing, I think that one thing we don't remember, you were also the vice chair of Ways and Means in the State House, and you brought a lot of legislative accomplishments to Springfield and a lot of money and support for a lot of our neighborhoods and a lot of our folks. And just lastly, I remember when you were inducted into the Civil Rights Hall of Fame at Forest Park Junior High School, when you were an icon of the civil rights movement. You talked about the Irish civil rights movement, and I had no idea that, the Irish civil rights movement was based upon what you did and John Lewis did and what Martin Luther King did at Selma. And so you taught us a lot of things that we didn't know. And you changed the city for the better with your grace and your love for this place. And I want to echo everyone else on the school committee to say I'm incredibly proud to be able to vote for this for you, Ben. And thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy.
Just
To my friend, go ahead. But
I do have to tell you, Representative, and I should have mentioned it earlier, a recurring theme that went through that room, not of your grandchildren and that generation, but people my age and people younger than you, but was how steadfast you were about nonviolence and how you brought all of the groups together and continued to emphasize. You were our own Martin Luther King here in Springfield, that nonviolence was the only way to go. And that, as the others have said, meant so much to the city. But that was recurring that we heard all night. I just didn't want that not to get to you.
Representative, my friend, and the iron is going up right now on the soon-to-be Benjamin Swan William and Debary School. You've always been a gentleman, a man of your word. His eyes are tearing up right now, Fred. They're tearing up right now. Always a gentleman and a man of your word. And that's much missed at times during these hectic lives we lead now. When they use the word icon, it is true, but you never looked for those pats on the back. You are known in civil rights from near and far, near and far. And what Vice Chair Collins brought up on with Gandhi, you always professed nonviolence. You always wanted to bring people together. You were a doer. You are a doer, not a talker, not a talker. And when this came about to my attention about the naming of the Homer Street School portion to you, as Ms. Naylor indicated, no brainer, no brainer. And just that with your civil rights movement, and you were in the heat of that civil rights movement, whether here in Springfield or nationally, and how respected you were across the board. And I think a testament to a man or to a woman is as I opened, I will close. A gentleman, and always one that kept his word. Anytime we had to work on something, and that's a lost art now. And you're a true statesman, and we are humbled and honored that we are able to name this after you, and we look forward to the ceremony. And I'm just very happy about this, my friend. I'm very happy about this. And with that, we're going to turn it over to you, Representative Swan, if you'd like to say a few words before we take the official vote, sir. So if you'd like to say a few words, we'd love to have you say a few words, Ben.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess with age, something happens to your voice. And mine's a little choked up at the moment.
His eyes
but
are
I appreciate the comments, the comments that were made regarding my character. I really, really do appreciate those comments. And I appreciate the importance of the people who are making those comments, because I happen to know the people. And sometimes people will say things and they don't mean it. Sometimes they will say things that you know that they do mean. And when you know people, you know when that happens. But I would be untruthful if I told you that this has not been even the thought of a school in Springfield, Massachusetts, named for me or any member of my family, anybody I know, is an honor. And so I want you to know that it is an honor, and working with and for the students of Springfield is also an honor, a very important honor for anyone, and I know that you know that because you do that daily. But it's been one of the great experiences of my life to have been able to serve Springfield as a legislator and to serve the youngsters in the school system and to visit with them at Head Start or different other locations. Just to spend time with them. It's been a great honor of my life. You know, sometimes people try to avoid old age, but sometimes old age is very important because you have that opportunity, if you live long enough, to reflect on the importance of the people that you have been engaged with in your lifetime. So just coming here tonight and meeting with you, and I've admired a lot of, most of you, I guess, most of you that's been involved in more than 6 months. And that's everybody. But I've been able to look back some, to work with people, even to nominate some people, sign nominating papers, etc. But it's like the old man of the sea, I guess. Just keep on moving. But it is an important honor in my life and in the life of my family. I hope that you know that. This doesn't happen every day to an old dude from Mississippi. You live long enough, you get old. I've lived long enough to had some ages to my life. But it's been great. I sat here and reminisce things that happened in different parts of our city, the life of our city. The veterans, the students, the importance of certain occasions such as Martin Luther King Day, different things that the school department itself has brought students down to engage in the celebration of the event. Yeah. And that's always been fulfilling. And I hope that just continues. But Springfield is an important city in the nation and in the world. And I hope that you who are sitting here tonight know that and understand that and act on that when you make decisions. And thank you for inviting me down. I didn't know if I'd have anything to say prior or not, but it's just recent months that I realized that I get old too. And it's been fun, but it's also been interesting. And I really appreciate the members of this committee, the school committee.
Representative, the old proverb about being able to smell the flowers while one is alive, and you'll be around for quite a while. And also, I want to thank you for your service to our country, being a veteran also. I think people don't realize that also, that you served also on that. And I know when it comes time to do it, you always speak very eloquently, very knowledgeable, and I love listening to you on the history. But again, always a gentleman and always a man of his word. And we are honored. So I will now ask,
Mayor,
is there a motion?
I would be more than happy and proud to make a motion, but I'm going to defer to Mrs. Gresham, who
Sure.
actually brought the issue to me.
Yes.
To formally make the motion, please.
Thank you.
Motion, okay, Ms.
I'd
Gresham?
like to make a motion to rename Homer Street School after Representative Benjamin Swan to be Homer Elementary School.
Benjamin Swan School.
I mean, Benjamin Swan Elementary School.
Okay, we gotta make sure we get, I know it's in your heart. I know that. So a motion is aptly made by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by everybody across the board on.
We all wanted to second that one, Ben.
Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Absolutely.
100%.
With pride, yes.
Yes, board is sufficient vote. This matter passed.
Thank you so much.
History in the making. See you, Fred.
Thanks.
Take
guys.
care, Fred.
Take care. Congratulations again, Ben.
Even I'm crying.
That was very nice. Very nice and emotional. Thank you, everybody that worked so hard on this. I want to thank Ms. Gresham again and the rest of the committee and Vice Chair Collins on the technical aspects. And I know I received a lot of letters and emails and calls on it. Yeah, so many people, but for really leading the charge. We'll now get back to the agenda informational items. We have one more update. This pertains to preschool update. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to ask Pat Roach to give us an update on the preschool program. We've been talking about this for a number of years, and the school committee has supported us going towards universal preschool. This year, we were able to accomplish that. Half-time for three-year-olds and full-time for four-year-olds. Next year, we're going to have a full-day preschool for 3 and 4-year-olds throughout the entire city. It's evolved over time. We've been able to make the space we need over time, and we're going to be able to execute that next year. So Pat's going to walk us through the process where we got there and what it's going to look like. So Patrick.
Superintendent Ward, do I understand that we will be the first really in the Commonwealth?
We're the first universal preschool right now in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Okay. I just wanted to-
And next year, when we do universal full day, we'll be the first to accomplish that as well. Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Patrick, do you want to take it?
Sure. Thank you, Superintendent. What I want to do is just walk the committee through preschool programming and how it's looked from 2012 to 2023. It's basically been a journey and taken us 10 years to get to where we're at. The district has a strategic vision, and that's really expanding high quality preschool opportunities that best meet student and family needs, increase neighborhood equity, and enable students to attend their K-5 school for preschool, improving the pre-K to K transition. So we've had these discussions for almost 10 years now, and the barriers that we really had were facilities and funding. So, you know, we've always wanted to have pre-K. We've always wanted to have universal pre-K. We just never had the facility space to do it, and we've never had the money to be able to accomplish it. So those were the biggest challenge. We have a really great preschool team. We have Rose Walczak in the SPED department, and Laura Menz and Kate Asher in the academics department, and Lourdes Soto and Rosa Nieves in the PACE department. And they're the ones really doing the work and getting these programs up and running and making sure we get students into the classrooms. And I'm just trying to remove the barriers of the facilities and funding to get our team there. So pre-2012, really we had half-day pre-Ks. They were mainly to meet special education compliance. The programs were in 11 schools and an ELS that was a pre-K to 2 school. You know, a lot of the students who attended our pre-K programs, they actually went to different schools than they would go to in kindergarten. So they would go to one school for pre-K, and then they would have a transition and they would go to a completely different school for kindergarten. They were half-day programs. So there was a morning session, 2.5-hour morning session, and a 2.5-hour afternoon session. The 2.5-hour programs, you know, they're much better than no programs, but they also don't allow us to implement a lot of what we want to do. Because if you think about, you know, you're getting the kids into the class, taking off their coats, there's a lot of transition and getting the kids in and out and onto the bus and back. We also had a couple nice magnet programs at Harena and Zanetti, but they always had really long wait lists because they were full day programs, and our families really, really desired them. And so there were a lot of unhappy families and that ended up on wait lists. In 2012, our total enrollment was just over 1,000 students. So from 2012 till now, this is kind of the journey that it took us to get there, piece by piece. So in 2013, 2014, we piloted a common curriculum. What we wanted to do was figure out how to increase the quality in all of the classrooms that we had currently at that time. And so, and then in 14, 15, when we got the preschool expansion grant, we started implementing it across the PEG classrooms, the private classrooms, as well as the Springfield Public Schools classrooms. With the pre-K coaches that we were able to fund, we were able to use that to train the teachers on the curriculum and train the teachers on their teaching practices, which helped bring up the quality. And we were doing that in both the public classrooms as well as the private classrooms we were partnered with. So when we got that preschool expansion grant, this was the planning grant. The planning grant allowed us to kind of do an analysis on the Springfield community, the greater community. What are our needs across public and private? We worked with the Pioneer Valley Planning Commission. We had Ann Candelas come on as a project manager and run that project with us. And really, we looked at what are the gaps in the community, and we found some really interesting things. You know, we always thought that Mason Square was actually our neediest for preschool, but what we actually found is that Mason Square was actually overserved. That's where a lot of our public school classrooms were, and that's where a lot of the private school classrooms, the private provider classrooms were as well. And then we found, you know, Forest Park, 16 acres, and Indian Orchard. they had way more children needing preschool than there actually were classrooms to serve them. So if you were in Forest Park or you were in Indian Orchard and you needed a classroom, you either didn't go to preschool or buses had to take you back and forth in order to get you to the classrooms that you needed to be. And we really learned that the community desired more full-day pre-K opportunities. So in 2015, 2016, we got the preschool expansion grant, and it came through SPS, and it allowed us to increase full-day opportunities in the private programs in Springfield. It also allowed us to add some coaches to increase the quality of those full-day programs in the private preschool classrooms. So then in 2015, 2016, something really unique happened. Private provider in Mason Square, right next to Rebecca Johnson, the private preschool classroom closed, and the mayor jumped right on it. And the mayor went right after it and said, we need to get that classroom. We need to get that building. We can't let that building go dark. The community needs it. So the city purchased the building so that we could create a public-private partnership in that building. Really like an innovation center where we have private classrooms and public classrooms all in the same building, and we can work together and share best practices. So when we first opened that building, we had Springfield Public Schools, Head Start, YMCA, and Square One. And using that preschool improvement grant, we were able to add 185 full-day community seats and 95 Springfield Public School seats for a total of 280 students were being able to serve in that facility. And so when I was mentioning that the facilities and the funding were the real challenges, being able to get a grant at the same time you're getting a facility to be able to add these, that's 280 new seats that we were able to add to the Springfield community. So, you know, as we're trying to explore what we do at full
In
day.
45 minutes, Pat, if you remember. That was one of the quickest deals ever. We made that in 45 minutes that day. when
It was,
went up.
Mayor.
So, and it was a good all, it was, thank you, mentioning that.
We all went to the building, right? And I think everybody was on the same page, which is that we need to get this building right away. And I think it was very
Pat and I
successful.
called
We
the
really
mayor,
appreciate it.
and the mayor made the deal right away. It was unbelievable. Thank you, Mayor.
For our kids, it was for our
Yeah.
kids.
So with the exception of Zanetti and Harena, Springfield Public Schools didn't have full day programs, right? We had the half day programs that were mainly driven by the amount of special ed kids we had on IEPs. And it was just about making sure that we were serving those students. So in 2016, 2017, we decided to pilot a full day classroom, a full day integrated classroom. So the same half day model we were doing with half special ed kids and half regular ed kids, we were saying, hey, let's try to make that a full day. We came up with something new, which was 20 students, and it kind of changed the ratios from seven special ed and 8 regular ed for 15 total. We were able to go up to 20 students total. It was heavier on the regular ed and less on the sped. So you don't have as many needy kids in the classroom, and you can go up to 20. And when you bring in the funding for 20 kids, it actually made that classroom sustainable to go full day. Because in the half day, you're bringing in the funding for 30 students. You have 15 in the morning and 15 in the afternoon. But to go to a 20 student, to do a full day, right, you're only getting the money for 15 kids. And it didn't really afford the teacher and the para and the supplies and everything we needed. So it was this really unique collaboration. We were able to figure out how to do 20 students. And the timing was pretty important because we were losing that preschool expansion grant, and the community seats, the 185 full day high quality seats that were in our private, the private classrooms in the city, they all went away. So we needed to absorb those seats into Springfield Public Schools. So, you know, the big challenge has always been a full day, to do a full day class. It takes 2 full day classrooms to replace 1 half day classroom, because you have 30 students being educated in a half day classroom. So to go to 20, even to go to 20, you really need 2 classrooms in order to be able to meet that need. And our challenge had been, we didn't have the facility space to even add more half day classrooms, never mind more full day classrooms. So we just continued to go through the schools, try to figure out everywhere we could find classrooms, using the early childhood center that we now have, and just continuing to grow the program. 2019, we received the CPPI grant, And that allowed us to do some unique partnerships with the community. Model 1 was kind of taking our programs that we have and partnering with the private providers to do some before school and after school programming. We like that, but that program kind of ended in June 2020. And then the second model was special education push into private programs. So what had previously been happening is if you were a student in Square One or Head Start, you would be there for the beginning half of the day, and then we would send a bus and go and pick the student up and bring them over to one of our schools for the second half of the day so they could get their special education programming. A lot of these kids don't handle transitions well. You know, instead of being in a full day classroom getting that education, they're on a bus for certain periods of time. It was just less than ideal. And so we decided to take some of our Springfield Public Schools special education teachers and push them into the private classrooms so that they could serve those kids in the private classrooms. And that grant allowed us to do it. 1920, we took a real look at ELS. It had been a pre-K to second grade. And we just said, if we want to expand preschool, you know, we decided to just make it a fully preschool school so that we could gain those extra classrooms in that building. And then we had the kindergarten, first grade and second grade kids just went back to what their normal boundary schools would be. And so we did that as a little bit of a transition, but it allowed us to gain more classrooms and continue to expand programming. Then we've over this whole entire time, we've been expanding special education opportunities. So Rose Walczak in the special education department, she's focused on this all the time. Full day links. So our autistic kids in our autism program, we wanted to make sure they were getting the same full day experiences as our regular ed kids and the kids in the other classrooms. So we've been adding full day links classrooms to our portfolio of classrooms across the district. We've also been doing full day inclusion classrooms. That's where you have half regular ed and half special ed kids in the same classroom. And some kids handle that much better, and it actually helps transition them into more regular ed programs, into more mainstream programs. And then Rose does some programming with the hybrid where they're in a links program for half the day with all autistic kids, and then they're in an inclusion classroom for the other half of the day. And it's really nice. It's a really nice opportunity for those kids, and whichever one's a better program for them, that's the one we put them into. We've continued to try to expand programming to additional boundary schools. So in 13-14, we made it into Milton Bradley. Dryden 13-14, we were able to do that. Pottinger in 18-19, Kensington, Brightwood in 18-19, Walsh in 2021, Lincoln, when we built the new Brightwood Lincoln School, that's what allowed us to do it. And then this past year in Harena, what we did is Harena was always magnet for pre-K, magnet only. So every kid had to ballot in. We started putting the kids in the Harena boundary into neighborhood seats, and then also still allowing pre-K kids from across the city to ballot in as well. So it was a really nice change that we were able to make at Harena. So as the superintendent was mentioning when this, before the presentation started, so this school year, we are universal pre-K. We are the first district in the whole Commonwealth to go universal pre-K. What we're doing is we actually have universal pre-K full day for 4-year-olds. So any 4-year-old in the city who wants a full day program in the public schools can get a full day seat. We also have universal half day seats for 3-year-olds. We do have some 3-year-olds in full day seats, but we've guaranteed every 3-year-old, if they want to go to pre-K, they can come to one of our pre-Ks, and we'll at least guarantee them a half day seat. And some of them even got into full day seats. We were piloting some full day inclusion classrooms for the 3-year-olds, and then Harena and Zanetti also allow full day pre-K seats as well. So that's been a pretty amazing accomplishment to be able to do that. So we're not done. We want to continue growing the program because we want to be universal pre-K for all 3-year-olds and all 4-year-olds. So, you know, continuing to try to address the facility challenges that we've had. When Balliet Middle School moved over to the old Lincoln, we renovated it this past summer and we moved some alternative programs over. So the alternative middle school that was at Balliet, that left the original Balliet school. So we're going to be able to make that at Balliet preschool for next year. That'll allow us to add 12 classrooms in there. which will allow us to serve 180 to 240 students. We're going to add a links classroom there that'll allow us to serve 12 autistic students as well. That's going to help us do the universal full day pre-K for all. So along with the new Balliet, we're planning to add more full day classrooms throughout. We're going to be looking at some of our other boundary schools, and we're going to continue adding more full day seats so that kids can attend their boundary schools for pre-K. And for the 4-year-olds can attend their boundary schools for pre-K. And a lot of the 3-year-olds, they may be able to attend their boundary schools. And if not, we're going to use the pre-K centers to make sure that we get the 3-year-olds into full day opportunities as well. So our pre-K centers will be L's, the Early Childhood Education Center, and this new Balliet pre-K that's coming online. So now we'll have 3 schools fully dedicated to preschool and serving the needs in the district. So that's going to help us. One of the things we're going to do next year, right now, those schools, L's and Early Childhood Center, both of the schools pull students from all across the city. What we're going to be implementing next year is boundaries for them. So we'll divide the city into a pie, into thirds, and a third of the kids will go to L's, a third will go to ECEC, and a third will go to Balliet. And that way we can improve transitions to K. So if you're a teacher at the Early Childhood Center, you'll know what schools your preschool kids are going to go to next year. And you can actually work and coordinate with their kindergarten teachers or their preschool teachers. And we can have better transitions on getting them into the new buildings. It will also improve the logistics for transportation, because one of the things we're looking at is potentially coming up with a program to transport our 4-year-olds to pre-K. But we need to do it in a manner that doesn't add buses, so it doesn't add costs. And the only way we can do something like this is instead of all the buses going all over the city, we have the buses coming from one section of the city into one school. When we do the 100% boundary for 4-year-olds, we're looking at next year trying to add classrooms to Beale, White, Friedman, Glickman, Lynch, Talmadge, Bowles, Glenwood, Liberty, and Dorman. Right now, none of those schools have preschool programs, and we're working with the principals and the chief schools officers to try to identify classrooms in those buildings so that kids who live in those boundaries, 4-year-olds, can go to those schools for preschool. And then the following year, we'll be able to do Homert Debary when the new Homert Debary school is built. And then transportation for peers is something I had already mentioned. So as you can see, there's still more work to be done, and we're continuing to drive the program forward. You can see from 2012, I was showing you how there were just a little over 1,000 students. Every year, as we've made these tweaks, you can see the enrollment's just grown and grown and grown. All the way up to in 2023, we're expecting to be at around 1,900 students, which will be what we believe to be at scale based on what families want to choose the public schools for their preschool programs. I just want to point out, you can see in 21 and 22, there's a dip. That has to do with COVID. We took a big hit to the preschool program when COVID hit. Families are keeping their kids home. It's the same thing in the community and the private preschools as well. They're experiencing the same enrollment decline. We did a little better this year, and we believe that those students will be back for the following year. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Roach-Pat. Very impressive. And the Superintendent Warwick and Administration School Committee, again, another first in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions or comments.
I have a question.
Ms. Gresham, please.
Yes, thank you, Pat, for that great presentation. So do you know what the hours will be? What hours will it be split up or?
Yes, so our full day programs mirror the elementary school, so the same as kindergarten, with the exception of they leave at 2:30 rather than 3:30.
So in the morning would be what time? 8?
8:50 to 2:30.
8:15 to 2:30?
8:50.
8:50.
8:50. With be able to arrive like our elementary kids as early as 8:30 for breakfast and things like that.
All right. So they wouldn't get a nap, right?
Sorry?
Would they get a nap during that day? They wouldn't get a nap.
We would build naps in. Yeah.
They will. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Okay, perfect. Will they get bused? Will they be bused?
Well, we're planning to try to get busing for the 4-year-olds when we get them into the neighborhood schools, because we could use our current structure.
All right.
Right
But
now,
the
we bus the
special ed
special
kids already get
education kids
buses.
only.
Can you say that again, Mr. Oates, Pat? So Barbara, we can hear that again. Say it again, Pat.
Right now, we bus the special education kids only.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what our goal is to figure out how to bus the regular education kids as well. But we can only do that once we get the boundaries, the kids into the boundaries, and we get the Valley at pre-K online, and we divide everything up equally, because right now we have buses going all over the city, and we don't want to add buses in order to do this. So we want to, if we can get the kids into the boundaries, and then we use Balliet, ECEC, and L's, that we should be able to do it with the same amount of buses we already have going in the district.
All right. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Naylor?
I was going to ask a similar question to Mrs. Gresham about the hours, but I do like the idea of the transportation. One of my concerns that I voiced with Pat maybe a month or so ago was the transportation issue and how difficult it is that even though we have the full day, a lot of parents are still having trouble getting their kids and therefore are not able to put them in and take advantage of the full day. So I'm really happy to hear that you are planning for that. And I think that will remedy a lot of the concerns that parents have around making sure that their kids can get home and all of that good stuff.
Thank you, Ms. Naylor. Any other questions or comments?
If I could just.
Yes, Attorney Murphy.
Thank you very much, Pat. And, I think we've been talking about this for probably the better part of the last 10 years, and to try to expand full day pre-K for our kids. And as you know, all the data shows that it's a game changer for our young people, particularly our urban kids, and it's incredibly important, and it's something that's going to pay off. It may not be next year or the year after, but 10, 12, 15 years from now, these are incredibly important years for our young kids. And the more we can expand this program, the better it is for our kids and for our system. So just thank you very much for your leadership on that. And you too, Mr. Superintendent, and you too, Mayor. I know a lot of it comes out of your budget, so we appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. And you know what? You hit it right on the head. I remember I became mayor in 2008. One of the first meetings or the first presentations, the national speaker, the Davis Foundation brought in, you hit it right in the head. They showed the chart. The more money you sunk in on the front end, tremendous amount of percentage increases, was 30-something% on the tail end. The money you sank in on the tail end, flat, south, negative. So that's the plan of attack we took. And, commend Superintendent Warwick and the administration, the whole, and the school committee. And then we sunk in, besides school, city money into it, because Murph says it, Attorney Murphy, it pays dividends. We're the farm system for the business community, for all 9 yards. So, but again, testament to the whole city, and the school administration, first in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Ms. Perez, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think the program is very effective, and I have to echo what my colleague Latonia has said. I hear from many parents that the issue is transportation when it comes to, so I think we need to see, I know we are looking at the report. The expectation is to start in 2022, 2023, but I think that we should start discussing that issue and see how could we work around the issue of transportation.
Maria, you hit it right on the head. In the 30 ARPA meetings I did with business and neighborhood countdown, it came across the board. Transportation, nonprofits, but workforce development. Say, if my child can get back and forth to school, I can go work full time. So that's part of one of our ARPA components on there to try to help out. And that also went for on the workforce development side, second, third shift type things also for the work. But It began with the foundation of if my child was in a pre-K program or here at the transportation more, I can have more flexibility to work and provide for my family. So you two hit it right on the head on that.
I have
Any other questions? Yeah, Ms.
one more
Gresham.
question. With early education and care, they licensed us already, right?
Our programs are licensed. Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
license. Okay.
Our programs are licensed.
And the uniqueness of the center we bought next to Rebecca Johnson was another first, because everybody thought it was Springfield Public School. We only had I think a quarter of that Head Start,
Right.
Square One, a YMCA. We only had a quarter of the action there on it, and public-private collaboration on it. So right direction, and Pat Roach and Laura Mendez and Swalzak. That's great work. And as these new schools come online and some of the rehab schools, it gives us more flexibility. But I think that transportation thing is the big thing, no matter
The
what.
transportation was a big thing, but also the building space.
Yeah, you got
You're
it.
stepping up on the early childhood center and making those things happen from a building perspective, because if you don't have extra space, you
Can't
need
do
twice
it.
as much space to go full day. So that was big. So we appreciate the support there. And as a former elementary school principal, longtime elementary school principal, I can tell you, and the research supports this, the value of a quality pre-K with highly qualified teachers makes a huge difference in elementary school success. So it's a long-term investment that'll really bode well for this city. So I thank the school committee for their support with this.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll now move the reports of standing committees. Student relation, parent concerns, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Building and Maintenance Committee, Vice Chair Collins. I know we've been very.
We've already handled those,
Okay.
Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. C is Legislative Contracts Committee, Ms. Perez.
No report at this
Thank you,
time.
Ms. Perez. D is Curriculum and Programs Committee. Ms. Hurst had to leave. Budget and Finance Committee, Mr. Vice Chair Collins.
Yeah, we met and we had a long discussion about ESSER funds and how we can use and not use those funds.
Yeah.
And we began our discussion on the workman's compensation. There'll be a lot more discussion to come.
Thank you, Vice Chair Collins. Any questions or comments? Turning to Vice Chair Collins' report. F is Vocational Education Committee, Attorney Peter Murphy.
No report, Mayor.
Thank you. Technology Committees, Ms. Naylor, please.
Minutes are included in the packet.
Thank you very much. School Safety Committee, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Special Subcommittee, Staff Demographics, Ms. Perez.
No report at this time. Mr.
Thank you, Ms. Perez. Nathaniel, our student representative from Putnam Vocational Technical Academy, Nathaniel Claudio, he's always been great about hanging on. I understand if you're not there, makes for a long day, but is Nathaniel on?
Yep, right here.
Yeah, boy, you hang in there. Thank you, Nathaniel, very much. You're a good young man. We would perfectly understand for some reason if you had to, but Nathaniel, go ahead. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
You as well, but I have nothing to report.
Thank you very much. Succinct. Okay. Report of the super. Yeah. Report of the superintendent. Superintendent Warwick, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a very quick report. Central High School is made it to the Division I semifinal with two tremendous victories on their way, and they're playing Saturday at 11 in Shrewsbury against the former #1 team, Franklin, in the state. And good news on the building front for the Debary Ben Swan School. The iron started going up this week. I'm sure Barbara was over there looking at it. So the iron's already going up. So it's moving along very briskly. That concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Superintendent Warwick. Any questions or comments pertaining to Superintendent Warwick's report?
I just want to thank the superintendent for the brevity of his report this week.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy.
And you do that, Attorney Murphy, with a straight face
Yes,
too.
he did.
Okay. All right. That was
Huge
very,
reports.
we need a little levity. It's been a long day.
I have a
Yes, Ms.
question.
Gresham.
Question for Superintendent. So I know we have after-school programs and we also have extended day programs. So what else is in place to help our children increase their learning, improve their learning academically?
So
specifically ELA and math.
Yep. Yeah, so every school now has money to design programs before or after school, summer vacations specifically in ELA and math,
Okay.
and then some other areas too. So every school is designing a plan to do that and is offering those services as well as like summer for
All right.
extended.
Are they
learning
in
time.
place now or they're in the
Sorry?
process? Are they in place now or are they?
They're all either in place at each school or about to get going. So they're all going up at the time the principals have to get extra staff and put them in place. But the funding is there and they're all ready to go.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Any other questions or comments?
I
Superintendent?
have two.
Ms. Daly, go ahead. It's okay. Go ahead.
Sorry, I know it's
You don't
late,
have-
but I
Ms.
gotta.
Daly, you don't have to say you're sorry. Okay.
So the first one is simple. I know we don't have a parking space out in the back like our city councilors, but it would be nice if we can have some type of permit or plaque or something to put in our cars so that if we have to come down for meetings in a day, we don't have to make appointments to come up and get them first.
Oh, okay. If you can get a-
I agree.
if
with
you can
that,
get a hold of,
Mayor. As a matter of fact, I think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh.
one thing, because I know some of us got tickets last time we did our, when we had our swearing in, because they didn't know who we were and they thought we were random people.
That's extenuating
I've gotten a
circumstances. You were
ticket
here
too,
for
and
city
$50.
business on that. So please just contact my office tomorrow, my Chief Staff Tom Ash or Melissa LeVar, and then we'll rectify that situation.
Thank you. And then the other one that I wanted to ask about is that they have funding that is available for getting lead out of our schools. So I know that there is something called the SWIG and BIF funding. It's over $200 million that's available for school districts to apply for to be able to get better filters and filling stations for our schools. And so right now it's not mandated for us to have that, but there is legislation that may mandate it, and it may be an unfunded mandate. So I'm hopeful that we can look into that and possibly get some of that money before it goes through legislation and possibly becomes an unfunded mandate, so we can be ahead of the game.
I'd love to do that.
That's good. Could you please forward that?
Yeah, because we'll get it
information
to
me and we'll
Pat
pursue
Sullivan's on
yeah.
it, but we.
I'll work with Pat Sullivan. on it.
Tony,
He's done a
we-
lot of work in that in the past.
We have,
Absolutely.
unfortunately, a lot of unfunded mandates, whether federal or state.
Exactly. I
Right,
figure
so-
if we can get ahead of them,
Yep.
then we can get some
Thank
money
you.
while it's
Yeah.
there.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
great. Get that to us right away and I'll work with Pat on it.
Any other questions pertaining to Superintendent Warwick's report? Okay, hearing none. Unfinished business. Okay, hearing none. Any new business? Does anybody have the score of the Patriots game? No. Okay, is there? What was that? You are really on the roll tonight, Murph. Let me tell you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second by Ms. Perez? Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Yes.
Screech, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for watching. Good health and happy Thanksgiving from all of us to you. God bless.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Okay.